albeit with a few more complications.
Oh no.
Take live shots, for example. This is what you saw at home.
As you say, it's warm. The weather down here is two things, wet and wet, either from sweat or from rain.
Not too bad, but this is what it looked like from our end. You see, even though we're the only Quad City station here, we're still not alone. More than 300 news organizations and 3,000 media people are in New Orleans, and sometimes it seems as if they're all in our skybox.
One of them by Penn State's own Joe Paterno.
But what goes on inside the dome is only half the story. Across the street, our workspace.
This is the biggest snow job I've ever had.
No.
This is the biggest snow job I've ever had.
No.
Along with making pseudo-celebrities out of news photographers, we put together the stories you see every night. We also send them by satellite to the Quad Cities.
We're going to assume you're getting audio and video okay. If you need to get me, just page me, and I'll repeat it.
The whole process is thick with technology and confusion. But when it's all over, these guys make it look easy. Now, as they say here in New Orleans,
there's gnats
we
in a stand-up.
we saw, we uplinked. And now we can go home. For photographer John Lesage, Bob Seibert, and Marsha Lentz, I'm Charlie Wojciechowski, News Center 6, New Orleans.
All right, just got it hooked up, Becky. Here it is. How's it sound? The testing 1, 2, 3, 4.
Check 1, 2. Hello, testing. Hello.
Got it. Got to build it though. Good. Just like this.
Ignore the sounds behind you. That is not George Bush.
Okay. Okay. All right. We'll not be talking with Edie, just you and me. She's going to ask us to share some of the events in the Supers, our reaction to some of the events in the Superdome. That's what we've been talking about. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, ignore the sounds you hear behind us. Listen only to me. I am the Great Oz. If we seem happy, it's because we are.
Yeah.
This is Thursday, folks.
We get to go home, right?
That's it.
I don't think I could stand one more day of this kind of.
No, I mean, I've enjoyed all this fun that I believe I can stand for another 4 years, Gene.
Yes, I agree with you, Bill.
Yeah, right.
I agree with you, Bill.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah. Yeah, please. She's going to read the intro. Here we go. All right, thank you, Edie. As you can tell, the Republicans are just wrapping up the final night of the Republican National Convention here in New Orleans, and it, of course, has been a great spectacle tonight. It's been that way throughout the entire convention, Gene.
Bill, you know, I was in Dallas in 1984 where the Republicans met then, and I was trying to think back about how these two different conventions sort of made similarities and maybe were different. The cities, I think, were much different. Dallas, of course, wanted to put out the red carpet, but I think the folks here in New Orleans did that and then some. They really did a nice job. The hospitality extended by everybody was exceptional here.
I have never seen a city try any harder than New Orleans has to welcome conventioneers, to media people as well, from taxi cab drivers to waitresses to cooks. Everybody on the street was very hospitable and very polite and very generous in every way. The thing is, New Orleans wants this kind of convention back, and we're hearing that they may be bidding for both the Democratic and Republican conventions in 4 years.
I was listening to a local television station earlier tonight. They apparently polled the delegations out on the floor that you see behind us. They say that 69% said, sure, we'll be back and we'll recommend it to our friends. So if they wanted some repeat business, they certainly got it here.
One big difference between this convention and the one 4 weeks ago in Atlanta was the hall itself. Of course, as you know, as anybody knows who's watching television, that was terribly tiny when we were trying to shoehorn everybody into the Omni. A much larger hall here and gives us all a lot more room. The entire convention has been pretty well scripted, went pretty much as planned.
I think with the exception of Dan Quayle in the business with the National Guard, I think, sure, this thing went exactly as the Republicans had wanted it to.
Speaking of Dan Quayle, quickly, he was well accepted tonight by the Republicans, indicating that they are really behind him. A lot more politics to go until November, and we'll be covering all that. But for right now, it looks like the conventions are over. Edie?
Okay.
Yeah, quick.
While you're doing that, my administration will be telling the dealers, whatever we have to do, we'll do. But your day is over. You are history. They've been left out, but they're not going to be left out anymore. And I am going to stop ocean dumping. Our beaches should not be garbage dumps, and our harbors should not be cesspools. I'm going to have the FBI trace the medical wastes, and we're going to punish the people who dump those infected needles into our oceans, lakes, and rivers. Clean the air to reduce the harm done by acid rain. And I'll put incentives back into the domestic energy industry, where I know from personal experience there is no security for the United States in further dependence on foreign oil.
Yeah, they're passing the information on. We'll pass the information. Do you have us now? Okay. Yeah, they got us plugged in. I can hear you, and if the tape's rolling, we'll go in just a couple of moments, okay? Is the tape rolling? Okay. Oh, wait, just a second. They told me I had a smear on my glasses. Okay, let the tape go. Kathy, I will start this off. I'll start this off. The delegates are fired up, Kathy. They're going to go back into the heartland of the Middle West, the Siouxland delegates that is, and start telling the George Bush story. Obviously, they're taking the Daniel Quayle story with them, and that's the purpose of a political convention like this, so that they can take the message of their candidates and sell those when they get back home. The observation of the delegates has been that they're really intently interested in getting back out on the campaign trail. The polls obviously show Michael Dukakis with a short lead, at least at this point. So they're intent on getting back to northwest Iowa, southeast South Dakota, northeast Nebraska to try to sell the Republican story. Well, that's the purpose, and that's what, when we talk to the delegates in all three states delegations, that's what they want to do, is get the Republican message back home, and many of them will be eager to leave early tomorrow to try to sell that story. But thanks for offering. Yeah. This is the tape. This is not the live. This is not the live update. Tape. All tape. They are? Okay. Stay? So they're rolling 8 now. The Iowa delegation is flying out of here about mid-morning tomorrow, time enough to get back to Des Moines for a 3:30 news conference. We are told that the state party leaders will be there to express their thanks for the vice president. I'll try to get them. The Iowa delegations will be flying out of here around mid-morning tomorrow. They will be back in time. The Iowa delegation will be flying out of here mid-morning tomorrow. They'll be back in Des Moines in time for a 3:30 news conference. Governor Branstad will be there. Some other party leaders will be there. And I am told that there is a good possibility that they will officially invite Dan Quayle to come to Iowa, so we will be able to get to know him. We'll find out later, of course, if he will accept that invitation. That's it from here. Bourbon Street, here I come. It's been fun being in New Orleans. I'm Jim Strickland, News Center 13, reporting from the Superdome. I just got to do a 10-second headline and we'll be done. They still rolling? Are they still rolling, Aaron? Yeah, they must be. Coming up from the Superdome, a live interview with Steve Roberts, the Iowa National Committee man who caused quite a stir regarding this Dan Quayle controversy. Okay, we're done. Thanks.
ahead. Make my 24-hour time period.
Test, test, test. I'm sure someone will tell me. Did they say what they wanted? This is... Davenport, anyone paying attention back home? Ken, if you could, try to find Dwayne or Alan. I'd appreciate it. And ask them what I'm doing. I'm getting no response from them. Yeah. I'm just wondering if Davenport's going to respond. That's my question. It's not here, it's there that I'm worried about. What? Hey, kid, what's up? Are we gonna go at all? So you don't want to cut in then? What they're offering now are cut-ins to the. I'm talking to the director right now. I'm talking to the director right now. But I guess can't check with what they want here. To me, it seems like they're blowing it off.
I hear nothing. Am I supposed to hear something? Yeah. Oh, I
I got it. I gotta have Tom Brokaw.
Aaron. I pulled up the headline about it or what?
I don't know what it is.
If you're a turnaround thing, just cut it. The wrong way, huh? You're the wrong way. I'll give her a pen. Yeah. Headline. All right. Okay. Just the headline.
Headline, here we go. I'll say this, here we go. I'm going to say talking about peace and prosperity, accepting the nomination, and promising peace and prosperity.
I'm Mike Owens. I'll have a reaction from the Missouri delegation, and I'll tag it out.
Okay, here we go. Headline, 543. This is Jewel Perkins in the Superdome, where George Bush has just accepted the nomination, ending his speech, promising his peace and prosperity.
I'm Mike Owens. I'll have complete reaction from the Missouri delegation coming up next on the Eyewitness News Update.
Should we take two? Take two. 543.
Are we doing two?
Okay,
We'll do another one. All right.
All right, here we go. 5.
That was the headline or was the I'm supposed to address the letter with that pen.
Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Okay.
Yeah, Mike, for what? Aaron.
What are we doing?
Aaron, what are we standing by for at this point? As long as we don't know what we're doing, that's perfect. Where's his mother? He's up there with his mother again. What are we doing? What does that mean?
Test, 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 test. More audio. Okay, I can hear you fine, Ken. It sounds like we've got quite a party going on right now. Behind me, balloons are falling, confetti is falling, and a band is playing La Bamba. And if you can relate that to the Vice President's speech, it looks like it was anything but a bomb. He delivered the speech he seemed to need to. It was strong, it was forceful. He even evoked a little bit of Clint Eastwood when he said that everyone here should make his 24-hour period, something a little bit surprising. Later on, we'll turn with a live report from New Orleans with Bob Seibert. We'll talk a little bit more about what this speech meant to the Vice President. We're clear.
Well, it's finally over, and we're going home out of here. But first, we're going to go down there and get some of them balloons.
Wonderful. It's very energetic. It's the kind of thing I think we need. It's George Bush at his best.
This nation's respected around the world, and the economy is strong, and the record is a good one. I think the Democrats will try to distort it, but the facts are the facts.
A few of the Republicans we talked with tonight, some who did not want to go on camera, say it's going to take more than just a speech by George Bush for him to be elected president in November. Meanwhile, there is still a nagging question about Dan Quayle and his military record. St. Louis's Steve Holt served 2 years in Vietnam. He thinks the flap over Quayle joining the National Guard during the Vietnam War is a red herring.
I think that there are many ways in which people choose to serve our country. Some people went into the Peace Corps, and that was accepted as an alternative to military training at various times in our past recent history. So I feel that serving in the Air National Guard, the reserves, the active military, all are the same in terms of fulfilling that obligation to our country.
But meanwhile, over in the Illinois delegation, Governor James Thompson says criticizing Quayle criticizes everyone who served in the National Guard.
If the real issue here is the service by hundreds of thousands of honorable patriotic Americans in the Guard or the Reserve, instead of in the armed services, as Congress allowed them to do, then I think we're doing a grave disservice to those hundreds of thousands of patriotic Americans, including Senator Quayle.
Testing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, talk up. Okay, step aside. Steve, I'm only going to be live by myself for now. 30 seconds. Widen out a little bit, they say. Down, down, down. Okay. Good evening, everybody. I'm Tim Strickland, live via satellite from New Orleans. Can you tell? It's bedlam down here on the floor of the Superdome. The band is like waist high in balloons. The drummer can barely hit the drum that he's trying to play. The trombone people are going crazy. This place is nuts. But coming up, still politics business first. We'll have a live interview with Steve Roberts, the man who caused quite a stir here from the Iowa delegation earlier today when he was talking about the quail controversy. We'll have his first live television interview since that controversy erupted. Coming up later on News Center 13 after convention coverage. The mic if it's loud. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pandemonium here in the Superdome. Accepted the party's nomination. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Okay. How far away are you?
Hello, hello. We're gonna just do a quick interview. Is there gonna be a tease? I'm not sure what stage of the program we're on. Steve, live? What are they doing? Oh, they're doing your live. Doing our live now. You're standing by. We had a zero on the last bit. Networks are still on. Networks are still on, so we haven't zeroed yet. You're standing by.
this, I'm going to start talk a little bit about the speech.
Okay.
Call for a tape to be rolled with some, or actually quail.
Okay.
And then we'll come to you.
About what?
How'd he do?
Oh.
Did he do what he was supposed to do?
Okay. Right.
Yeah, the stuff we talked about before. Hello. I don't even know the song. Thank you again. You should see the band. They're like dumped with balloons. It's incredible. Come on, George, grab a balloon.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the great resources we have in America is the richness and diversity of the cultures, religions, and national origin of our citizens. That's why it's so fitting today to have with us Archbishop Douglas, the primate of Greek Orthodox Church in North and South America.
Brokaw's talking about the R-Wind will be here first.
Is that right?
start on just me. Then we're gonna go to a 30-second deal. Come out to the two of us. I'll tell you when you're fan. Okay, they're gonna roll credits. Are they gonna want a live tease? Sorry. It just turned off. Okay. It's Charlie Wojciechowski in New Orleans. Coming up next, we're talking about the Democratic or Republican, National Convention. All right. We're almost over. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How to get into this?
I've lost my sound here. Got it all the way off? I can't hear anything. There it is. What do you need, Ken? One more time. Certainly. We're in New Orleans. I'll be talking with Bob Seibert instead of Terry Branstad. He never made it here. That's right. We'll start on a one-shot with me. I'll call for the tape. I'll say something. Let's hear those delegates now. And when we come out, it'll be a two-shot, Bob and I. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. It seems like the delegates really paid attention. They were fixed upon George Bush's words. It seemed to go very well. That was, of course, the big question. Would George Bush deliver the most important speech of his life? We'll answer that question a little bit later. First, we'll answer another question that was plaguing many delegates today. Dan Quayle, will he be a good vice presidential running mate? We asked some of them what they had to say. Two-shot. Of course, Dan Quayle will indeed be George Bush's running mate. There was some question about that earlier in the day. Joining me now is Dr. Bob Seibert, political scientist from Knox College and our political analyst. Bob, how did George do? Is this the speech he needed to give?
I think it was a very good speech. It was well delivered. It's not a great speech, but it's certainly one that played well to this House. It was a well-crafted speech. Had a lot of good applause lines in it, a lot of memorable lines, and it certainly plays well to a Republican audience. The big question now will be whether it has legs, whether it can travel, whether it can go to the great mass of independents, and whether it can hold those Democrats in the fold.
Now, we were talking about Dan Quayle a little bit earlier. What impact is Dan Quayle going to have? I know you spoke to some delegates earlier today. What kind of response are you getting from them?
Well, somebody's going to have to answer the questions as everybody's satisfaction and fairly soon. I mean, right now, the glow of the speech is here with us and everybody's feeling pretty good about it. But tomorrow morning is a new day and those questions will come back and he's just going to have to answer them in a more forthright manner.
Is there a tack you think they're going to take to try to defend Dan Quayle, or is he going to have to stand on his own?
He's going to have to stand on his own. They can't do it for him.
Okay, thank you. That's Dr. Bob Seibert. In New Orleans, I'm Charlie Wojciechowski.
Test. Owen, thank you. Yes,
sir. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Testing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Testing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Bush's speech did not break any new ground, at least when it came to policy, but he did try to show the human side, of course.
Karen, Dick, tonight was to have been George Bush's shining hour, and in many ways it was. The delegates now leaving this convention hall after a rousing speech. George peppered his speech with humor, with pathos, referring to his family, and even calling himself an underdog on a mission to win the presidency. But this shining hour was somewhat tarnished by the continuing controversy surrounding George Bush's running mate, Dan Quayle. Although Dan Quayle did a pretty good job of acquitting himself before this partisan crowd, Mike Owens is here to tell us how the Missouri and Illinois delegations reacted to tonight's speech.
So, as you said, the speech didn't break any new ground, at least when it came to policy. It did try to show George Bush off as a personal human being, someone who can run this country. But some Missourians were cheering wildly anyway throughout the address. They thought it was the best thing they'd ever heard. There is a cloud in these sunny Republican skies, however. Questions about the military service of George Bush's running mate. Vice presidential candidate Dan Quayle served in the National Guard during the Vietnam War. For Bush, questions about it are haunting him.
Oh, sir, eat the mic. Eat the mic.
Yes. Okay.
I'll do that real quick, tag, and throw it to you. I'm going to say the Republicans hope the Quayle mess goes away. You'll? The Republicans hope to leave here and see this Quayle mess go away. You'll?
In fact, Mike, you asked the Bush staffers about the Quayle problem, and they say, what problem? We talked to some Bush staffers today, and they say no matter what happens down the campaign road, Dan Quayle is still George Bush's man.
You got all that yet?
George Bush said tonight that the campaign begins now. We do understand that the Republican ticket plans a campaign swing through the Midwest starting sometime this weekend, probably tomorrow, in Dan Quayle's hometown of Huntington, Indiana.
And they'll be in Missouri or Illinois, make that Sunday morning sometime, and they'll be there.
Very important for the Republican ticket because they know that the Midwest will be a real battleground come the fall, and Missouri and Illinois will be key states.
Sure enough, we were reporting live from the Republican National Convention. I'm Mike Owens for Ewell Perkins, Channel 5 Eyewitness News. I thought you were going to keep on. I was going to tag.
Test, test. Test, test.
Keep the mic. Put it close to him. Put a flag.
Hi, testing. I need more IFB. Yeah. I'm talking to who? Kelly? Okay. Clark, I don't need a 2. Don't give me a 2. Give me a 30.
Just the 30. Don't give me a 2, because I won't be able to hear what Steve's saying. Just give me a 30. I don't need a 2. Just give me a 30 and a wrap. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. Down a little bit. Not too much. Oh, it's good. Kelly, good evening. The band is still playing, although things have settled down here just a little bit. Boy, that garden net from West Des Moines worked well when the balloons fell, let me tell you. There is indeed controversy despite all the celebration that went on here tonight. Dan Quayle, that shadow hovering around him in his military career, if indeed he used privilege to avoid serving in Vietnam. The man standing to my left said if it can be proven that happened, at least he was quoted at UPI as saying that, then he should be removed from the ticket. Iowa's new National Committee man, Steve Roberts. Steve, is that indeed what you said?
I don't think it's what I said. What I suggested was that if there was a controversy, it should be cleared up quickly. And I think they've gone a long way today to try to clear it up. And Senator Quayle tonight indicated that he would be doing more to get that resolved and behind us tomorrow. And I think the 2 speeches tonight went a long way to getting it all behind us. I think there's a new atmosphere and a new mood. I think this is probably yesterday's news now.
I gather that you believe that the national media has taken hold of this and tried to make it into a story because perhaps they were bored with this convention. Do you believe that to be the case?
Well, I think that there was not a lot going on, and I think when something came up like this, there were some questions raised. And I think at the same time, the Bush campaign has done an excellent job today in putting the thing behind us, and I think they're going to move tomorrow to do the same thing. And with the boost that we got out of here tonight, I think we're on our way.
I want to let you know that all 3 networks were trying to get a hold of Steve Roberts all day. He was out in the French Quarter shopping and so forth till about 3:30, held up in his hotel room until he got to the hall about 9 after the Quayle speech was underway or even over because of the crush of media attention that he had. Do you regret anything going on about this? Do you regret what you said?
I've been in this business a long time. Every now and then something is going to, get taken in the wrong contest. I think I could probably get treated better than I should be overall. So I respect the media's job, what they have to do, and you learn every day. It's a continuing experience.
Steve Roberts, we certainly appreciate you taking the time out to talk to us. Even if NBC couldn't have you, I'm glad I could. Thank you very much for being here. Now we move on. The celebrating is over here in New Orleans. The hall is a bit more quieter than it was. However, there is now work to be done in the state of Iowa. I prepared a special report taking a look at where the Iowa GOP goes from here. Thank you. Where was my package?
Let's go with a 2-shot tonight, okay? Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is the final time, Cindy and Liz, if you're listening. We're just about ready to wrap it up. I think the governor wants to get out of here. I'm pretty sure. Tom Cruise night, yeah. My cameraman, he's usually smart science cameraman from our station. He looks just like Tom Cruise. And everywhere we've gone with him, I mean, we've been Beirut, autograph speakers. We've been getting into restaurants that are packaged great seats. I mean, it has been the funniest thing. Entertainment that I've seen over at the interviewing. It has been hilarious. Yeah, I like that head-on shot. One of these guys have been going sideways. What did you say, Cindy? I'm sorry. Okay. Okay.
'Enjoyed working with you. You've been quite really good.
I know we've had a lot of it. I know that you need to cover that. I'm beyond the call. I'm not just blowing smoke at me. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Cindy. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yo, that's just about right. Just about right. Are we gonna? Is Liz gonna ask me anything at the end then or not? Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're ready to go. Yep. There we go. It certainly did, Liz. We really had a good time here tonight. Governor Branstad fought his way through the crowd graciously to join us for one last interview here live in the Superdome here in New Orleans. It really was a pretty good speech, I would say, overall for George Bush. Pretty exciting.
A super end to a great week. George Bush clearly showed he's the man in charge. He's taken on a much bigger mission than he's ever had before, but he certainly is prepared for it, and he, with very significant clarity and with a little bit of self-deprecating humor, I thought he came across very strong and very forceful and showed why he wants to build on a record of peace and prosperity and his goals for education, the environment, taking the war against drugs to the young people and asking for their support, and I thought it was a great message.
He once again said he would not raise taxes. He made a pretty bold prediction, though, 30 million jobs in 8 years.
Well, you know, I made a bold prediction about 180,000 jobs when I came in as governor, and a lot of people scoffed at it. We met the goal in 5 years. I believe that George Bush knows what he's doing, and this is not an idle promise. He's performed, and I'm confident he can do it, and I want to work with him to see it happen in Iowa and throughout the country.
What about the Dan Quayle controversy? Has it been diffused at all tonight? Will he remain on the ticket, do you think?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt that he's going to remain on the ticket. It's a tempest in a teapot. Here's a man that volunteered to serve his country in the National Guard. And for anybody to equate service in the National Guard with being a draft dodger, I think is an affront to all National Guard men and women throughout the country. I'm very proud of the Iowa National Guard. We had National Guard units from Iowa serve in Vietnam. I happen to have been drafted in 1969 when Dan Quayle went into the National Guard. I did not go to Vietnam as a draftee, but yet there were National Guardsmen from Iowa that went to Vietnam. So for anyone to say that there's something wrong with serving in the National Guard, I just think that's wrong. And they say that, well, they pulled strings so he could get in the Guard. I've heard of people pulling strings to get out of the military, but not to get into the military, especially when it's only 85% of strength in the Guard in the state of Indiana at that time.
Okay, you think it's been diffused. Governor Branstad, thanks very much for joining us. That wraps it up, Liz. It's been an exciting week here. A little bit of American history again here in New Orleans. A little bit. I think George Bush used the humor to his advantage for a change tonight, and I think that might have helped him just a little bit. We'll have to wait and see the reaction. Okay, thanks, Liz. We're out of here tomorrow morning, winging it home.
minute.
What do you want first? You want me? Check 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13.
We're here live, the New Orleans convention where it's just wrapped up. Check 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Hello, hello, 1, 2. 1, 2.
I hear fine. I'm fine. Fine. Perfect. Call it the threesome, huh? I tell you, it's been a very busy week, Chuck and Tina. And I tell you, it came to a climax tonight. George Bush had to be at his best, and I think we heard a lot of humor from George Bush. He said he wanted to keep his charisma in check, and maybe he did that to a certain extent tonight.
I think that the Georgia delegation is also going to leave here after having a very good week. They got off to a very rocky start, but I think that they also are going to be leaving with some harmony, and of course their number one concern right now is to raise some money and get George Bush to win the state of Georgia.
He was really playing for all the marbles here. He had quite a challenge to overcome. He had to first step out of the shadow of Ronald Reagan. He had an image to work on, and he went a long ways to avoid cliches. Instead of saying, go ahead and make my day, he said, go ahead and make my 24 hours. So it was an interesting speech, and one that really, I think, helped his image.
Well, I don't know if they should envy us or not, because it's been a very busy and a very hectic week.
A lot of work.
A lot of work, but it is exciting, no doubt about it. You know, we were talking, and I was trying to compare this to the Atlanta situation, but both were very exciting. I know it was exciting for Mark and Corey.
It was, and even though I noticed tonight when there was some jazz playing, which is of course very appropriate in the birthplace of jazz, but everyone up here in the skyboxes, they were also tapping their toes. I think they want to go home.
Something else that's always exciting is running into people in the hallways, and up here where we are, as you can see down over the platform, you run into people like Henry Kissinger and network people. It's just real exciting. You turn around and boom, there they are.
Just very briefly, no negative signs, very supportive of Senator Quayle, and I think that's a positive step forward as the Republicans move into November.
Mike's Knoxville? I got one. Give me one of those mics, please. The blue one with the blue. One mic or you want two? One.
Test. A minute and a half total. Okay.
Bill, mic check, please.
Hello, testing 1, 2, 3, 4. Testing 1, 2, 3, 4. You have a minute and a half. Thank you very much, is it? Okay. All right. Standing by. Thank you very much, Edie. Tonight's activities, they have been spectacular, haven't they, Gene? I mean, the balloon release, we talked about that throughout the week. It was a world record breaker. That was a marvelous night.
Absolutely. You know, you were mentioning a moment ago, you'd have to be the complete and total cynic not to get a little tingly when all that was going on.
Exactly, absolutely. One thing about the Republicans and the Democrats, for that matter, I think we can say that as spectacular as it was planned that way. I think throughout the entire convention that it's all been very carefully scripted, and for the most part, the script has been followed.
I think we mentioned a moment ago, about the only surprise was, of course, the quail business with the National Guard thing. Beyond that, everything, like tonight, you know, George Bush was up at 10, he got off at 11, the thing went on, it was perfectly timed.
There was a demonstration planned for the floor. According to the program, it's supposed to be 15 minutes last night, and I timed it. That lasted 15 minutes. Right now, we have a spontaneous demonstration. I don't know what it's all about. I suspect it's about Bush quail. It's the only spontaneous demonstration that we've had. It's over, Gene. That's it.
You know, I was at a little party last night, a private party for Marvin Bush. I went, I had a great time, I've been partying, frankly, I'm bushed and I'm ready to go home myself.
Well, the party's over here at the Super Bowl. The Grand Ole Party hopes the Bush Quail Party continues right through November 8th. Edie?
Test.
Talk. Yeah, Three blind mice. Of course, we're saying that the Democrats have what's called a big economic policy with cheese. President Beck said, yes, it looked like cheese to three blind mice. Okay, I thought we'd do this on the other shot.
Cheers, Trippy.
Dan, man, flipping them the bird out there.
Bring that other one.
What? Oh, no, that's fine. That's fine. No. 3 minutes. Well, we got a new guy. Dan's gonna throw it to us.
Okay, now I do.
Yeah, what is that? What do we do then?
Yes, talk.
About? There's a balloon. Can I get that balloon?
About the convention, I guess.
Well,
You guys could bring me this shot and I can give you my instructions for the week.
yeah, they were like this.
I drank a lot. Please,
Quick.
Let's stand out there.
Right now.
Joel, I think that they're ready for us.
I hope they're ready for us. Well, the party is over. The Grand Ole Party has ended its party. Still some young people shouting now, George Bush, George Bush. About 150,000 balloons fell here. It was a spectacular event. Very exciting.
It wasn't for the band. About half those balloons ended up in the bandstand, and they were like playing through blue balloons. It was tough. It was an exciting night for the Republicans. They may have redefined George Bush here. According to his speech, he showed a more human side of himself. And, of course, he said he was going to follow those policies that have worked for this country for the last 8 years. He says he'd like 4 more years, and, of course, if he gets those 4, he'll go for 4 more. We'll see what happens.
Bush seemed very much at ease. He seemed unlike I have seen him ever before. Very much at ease, very comfortable with himself. And I think it perhaps sets a new tone, a new direction for the Republican Party. We will see. Bush and Quayle will begin a Midwestern tour and will be coming through Indiana and Illinois. We will see.
That's right. We'll see over the weekend when George Bush comes into the St. Louis area to Springfield, Illinois. And, of course, Dukakis is in St. Louis.
Now let's go to Deanne Lane, who is now covering the Dukakis campaign at Lambert Airport. Deanne?
Yeah, man. We gotta wait till the show's over? Oh, I'm sorry.
Did I drop something? Oh, wow. Ten 987654321. Yes. 10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3-2-1. They're into the commercial. Do I look okay? He's on. He's on. It was on. Yes, I can hear you now. Oh, no, it was received very well. Well, I really don't think that the whole thing has been explained quite as it should be. And I'm willing to let Dan Quayle make the explanation very shortly. Of course, there's nothing wrong with serving with the National Guard. I'm very proud of the National Guard. But the circumstances have to still be examined and revealed. The thing that upsets me, of course, is that this should have been cleared up a long time ago. And that's the risk that George Bush took when naming someone who has not been through the political mill, so to speak. But I'm still very optimistic. Well, you're going to find out that there are many issues upon which I will agree with my fellow Republicans and a lot of issues that I don't agree with. them on. I think you know very well that I'm a rather independent Republican who makes her mind up according to the issues. I can stand up on my own 2 feet. And I think you know my history in support of the ERA and equal rights, women's issues and so forth, and my stances on peace issues have been very clear. So basically, I guess there may be some differing views with those in the party, but I think the overall intent of the party is very positive. So I am going to be supporting the Bush Quayle ticket. Besides that, you know, I think maybe some of them need a little education, and I intend to have chats with them and try to convince them to see the other side. At the time of the general election, you bet. I'd be delighted to debate anyone. Thank you. Yeah, and KHON had already started and they had introduced me, you know, when you speak. Oh.
Parties this year ask for your trust, but only one has earned it.
The Republican ticket is preparing to hit the campaign trail tomorrow after a night of speeches and cheers.
Well, you're going to see a tremendous effort to show the comparison between the Bush Quayle ticket and the Dukakis-Benson ticket, where they stand on the issues. And on those issues, Bush is on the right side as far as California voters are concerned.
Speaking about heading places, what do you expect to see between now and November? Anything special?
Well, it's going to be a rough and tumble campaign, and we intend to keep it on issues and keep it away from personalities.
But the question remains, can the Republicans win? History shows that may be difficult.
Democrats have only won 3 elections in a row once, and the Republicans have only won 3 elections in a row once. The Republicans in the 1920s and the Democrats, of course, with FDR, and that was largely because of World War II breaking out. So what we're trying to do is fairly difficult to pull off.
We know we could lose this election, and in the last couple of conventions, at least, we were absolutely convinced that we were going to win. I mean, even in 80, when we were only about even at that point. Now we know we're on the defensive.
Tonight, Vice President George Bush and his running mate, Senator Dan Quayle, tried to give the speech they hope would be the speech of their life. We'll have an idea what the impact is tomorrow morning when Americans wake up after a night of reflection but we'll really know what the impact is in November. Reporting via satellite from the Republican National Convention in New Orleans, Carl Schweitzer, 23 News.
Standard, and they last a long time. But I had them in the refrigerator, and every day I would go and water them down. Very pretty, that's the thing. No. It's a real stock. I've never been to Hawaii.
Until 16 after.
Let's go.
In my pocket. Go.
Fire dance.
No, put them all. What are they doing? Oh, what do we need? Well,
we don't need them.
well, do we need to talk?
They're not there. Somebody's just recording. Somebody's just
Well, if they're rolling a tape, let's go for it.
Mike Owens has grown several inches since he's been here in New Orleans. It's probably from
Just
all the
not in
beer.
height. Just not in
he's
height
been
either.
drinking. Yeah. Not in other aspects either. But
Morning,
anyway.
then. Thank you.
Here we go.
On the bird here.
On the
America
here
heard
we
that.
go. All right.
That's great. I'd like to do that. Let's do it. Who did?
I'm going to turn the satellite.
Oh, great.
Okay. Wonderful.
My mom called you trash.
Yeah, it's a good way to, I figure it's on the satellite. Let's do
Okay,
it.
here we go. 5, 4. Okay, no problem. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Joe Perkins and Mike Owens here on the final night of the convention. The party is over. A few straggling delegates still leaving the Superdome here. And what a party it was. A 4-day celebration of republicanism, ending with the acceptance of the presidential nomination by George Bush.
A serious party, Yule. They say that this is a party town. You couldn't hold a party here because it already is a party. Some major league differences between this convention here in New Orleans. No, the way you started it was like, this is going to be aired tomorrow at 6. Yeah, tomorrow at 6.
Okay, tomorrow at 6. Okay, here we go. Okay. 5, 4, 3. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Joe Perkins and Mike Owens here in the Superdome. The Republican convention has ended. It's over, ending with the nomination of George Bush and the beginning of the fall campaign season.
Absolutely, and these Republicans had a big party in New Orleans. They say that you can't hold a party here because it already is a party. Some major differences between New Orleans, where the Republicans met, and Atlanta, where the Democrats met. Those differences, well, they're pretty similar as well, we should say. Jesse Jackson was a suspense in Atlanta for Michael Dukakis, and here it was a suspense as to who was going to be George Bush's running mate. Jesse Jackson created a lot of news in Atlanta. The discussion and disagreement over Quayle picking him created a lot of suspense here, and then when Quayle got selected, the whole thing about his National Guard enlistment has caused some more problems for George Bush.
And Dean, it's interesting, some delegates have pointed out that Dan Quayle, his enthusiasm is much like Jesse Jackson. Someone said that Quayle has the politics of Ronald Reagan, the enthusiasm of Jesse Jackson, and probably the endorsement of everybody in this crowd, I'm sure. 35,000 people here, Republicans here tonight.
They say that is the biggest...
I said tonight. All right.
Okay, we're going to do it.
Here we go. Sorry.
What do you want?
Hold it.
Right, you're right. You're right.
But you know, it sounds right. Here we go.
We're going to go. We're going to do a minute 10, and that's enough. Minute 10
Okay,
is enough.
minute 10's enough. 5, 4, 3. Here we go. Joe Perkins and Mike Owens here in the Superdome, where the Republican convention has ended with the nomination of George Bush and the beginning of the campaign season.
And it's going to be a long campaign season all the way to November. And the differences and the similarities between the two conventions, this one here in New Orleans and the one in Atlanta held by the Democrats back in July. The similarities are that they both had some suspense. Jesse Jackson was the suspense. for the Democrats, and who George Bush was going to pick as his running mate was the suspense here. And after those issues were settled, there was some more suspense about Dan Quayle's membership or enlistment in the National Guard. We don't know at this point how long that issue is going to follow the campaign, the Republican campaign, but the Republicans definitely want it to go away.
They do indeed. In fact, Bush staffers saying now that when you ask them about the Quayle problem, they say there is no problem at all. And in fact, what they're trying to do now is, in effect, focus the attention away from how Quayle got into the National Guard and on to the fact that he did serve and serve honorably. In fact, Bush staffers told us today that no matter what happens down the campaign trail, that Dan Quayle will be George Bush's man.
People who will carry this party and this ticket through to November are, of course, the delegation. And Missouri and Illinois are both happy that they've got these two men on their ticket, and they say they're going to work very hard this fall for the ticket.
Also a bit interesting, too, the roll call vote in Missouri casting 46
The
initially
shadow
for
vote.
the
Yeah,
shadow
the
vote.
shadow vote.
And we unmasked the shadow and then found out it was indeed Bill Macon, the head of the delegation.
And Bill Macon took some serious heat about it on Thursday, but that heat died down Thursday evening. He's going to hold on to his job, at least for now.
And certainly we shall probably all see the Republicans together fighting for the Bush-Quayle ticket in Missouri, a very key state in the upcoming election.
Good enough. Reporting from New Orleans, I'm Mike Owens.
I'm Huel Perkins. We'd like to thank all the people that worked with us, Ava Ehrlich, Joe Young, Jeff McCullum. They all put this together. Reporting, Huel Perkins, Mike Owens, Eyewitness News.
We could redo that tag if they're going to cover with B-roll. Can we do that? They're going to cover B-roll, aren't they? Stop. Okay. Can we redo the tag?
We'll redo the tag.
All right. Reporting from the Republican National Convention in New Orleans, I'm Mike Owens.
And I'm Huel Perkins, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
Oh, yeah, right. Said our name's better, but that's fine.
You're right. We didn't.
You should have done it live.
We didn't know what we were doing.
You want to stand on the thing?
No.
Fun.
No, no.
Have mic check, please.
Okay, we're back. We're back. Yeah. What is shown? Just here. Yes, I certainly am. Okay. Loud. Yeah. Okay. Commercial. Right. I can hear it. Okay. Sure. Nothing's on now. Ricky. 10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3. I'm not hearing anything. He asked me whether I was hearing the commercial, and then nothing. you hearing the same thing I'm hearing? The click, click. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Right. Aloha from New Orleans. I thought it was super duper. You know, he added a little humor, but he went right ahead and articulated his vision for the future. I thought it was an excellent speech. Well, I think that he's still done an uphill battle there in Hawaii, but it's been a situation like this before, and I have every hope that people from Hawaii are going to see the true George Bush and vote for him in November. No, I really don't think so. I think when the truth comes out, when the real story is told, I think people will understand the situation. Now, I have very great pride in the National Guard, and the circumstances, however, under which he became a member of the Guard is under scrutiny. It does irritate me greatly that these explanations could not have been made sooner and expressed more openly, but maybe the next few days will come through with an enlightenment. Well, I can't exactly say, Joe, and I'm not hedging. The truth is, I really don't know. And I'm not ready to make any kind of summation on the issue until I have the facts. And I think that's the way everybody should look at this situation. Well, women don't vote for the pretty face. Women vote on substantial issues. And tonight, when George Bush articulated what women need is economic empowerment, And if that's what Mr. Quayle is going to help him with, then I'm all for him. But just his good looks isn't going to make it with women. I'm afraid not. That was spelled out in the platform. But I've been in this situation before. I think these people need more education. And the time is going to come when they're going to understand the true meaning of the Equal Rights Amendment. I'll keep working on it, Joe. Thank you. No problem. No problem. We don't vote for a pretty face, do we? Give me a break.
Okay, do we have 5 feet? Are you hearing it now?
Hello. Greetings. Yes, I do. Everything's fine.
30 seconds away.
You want me to start on you and pull out?
Yes.
Should I go two-shot throughout or start with you?
Start with me, pull to a 2-shot. I'd appreciate it. Hi, Paula. You with Russ today? Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Jim, I hear you.
Hi, Paula. It is. It's supposed to be the most important night, not only in George Bush's career, but for the Republican Party this year. It was expected that today would be a day when we really wouldn't have too much to worry about, but in the meantime, things have happened. There's been some controversy over Senator Dan Quayle, George Bush's chosen running mate for this November. And with me now is Dr. Bob Seibert. And Bob, what have you been hearing about the Quayle choice?
Well, it's a lot of controversy, as you said, and a lot of people are having second thoughts about this. We overheard Governor Thompson in the hall just recently being interviewed, and he said quite clearly that Quayle has to put this issue to rest. He has to satisfy the press that he's answered the question fully, and he hasn't so far, and that he's on his own. If he doesn't make it, the implication is that he should go.
Now, people are calling for the withdrawal. Is that a reasonable thing to expect?
Oh, I think at this point it is. He's got to cut bait or fish. That's one of the two things, you know, and it's going to be hard for him to do that. From the point of view of a lot of the delegates, what's happened is they've kind of been whipsawed on this. They were surprised on Tuesday with the announcement. On Wednesday, they kind of generated a grudging enthusiasm for the nomination, and then today, they're wondering what's been done to them. And so it's real tough on them. And there's been some historical precedent for this kind of thing. The Eagleton affair is not too far in our past here.
Maybe refresh our viewers' memory on that.
Oh, that was McGovern's choice of vice president, and he backed him 100%. And then it turned out that he had had some mental problems, depression, I think, in the past. And when that came to the surface, he was forced to resign. So there is precedent for his removal, and very soon and up front in the campaign, as Ed Rollins said, don't let him bleed to death.
Okay, of course, tonight we'll be watching for George Bush's nomination speech, but the attention will be on Dan Quayle. Paula and Russ?
That's right, Tracy. The expectations are high and the pressure is on.
It really is, at least for the news media, and that's the danger the party wants to avoid. They want this to be George Bush's night, and right now this is Dan Quayle's day.
The delegates got a preview of the presidential candidate and his controversial running mate at an afternoon rally. George Bush and Dan Quayle rode a fire truck through a crowd of flag-waving Republicans in New Orleans Convention Center.
Yes, I do. Crank it up just a little. Okay. Okay. Okay, here we're getting close. Well, Edie, I've talked to a number of Tennessee delegates this afternoon, and they are concerned, of course, as any delegate would be when their candidate is being criticized. But I don't find any of them that are too concerned about what may or may not be a black spot on the record of Dan Quayle. They say he's probably done nothing wrong as far as they can see. They are concerned about what the voters may perceive. And therein lies a problem. Now, within the past couple of hours, we've heard rumors that there might even be some consideration that Quayle be dumped from the ticket. We don't think those are anything more than rumors, but that certainly has been in the rumor mill. With me now is Joan Nash, who, as you know, is the wife of our mayor there in Knoxville and a delegate from Knoxville to the convention. Joan, what do you hear amongst the delegates?
Well, once I got a call from you, I did check around today. None of the delegation had heard the rumor. First off, and they said it was just that it was a rumor. You know, 2 weeks from now, if they're still talking about it, then maybe, you know, there needs to be some serious consideration or some look into it. But at this point, it's just rumor.
The situation, of course, revolves around the fact whether or not Dan Quayle pulls strings to get into the National Guard to avoid military service. Well, now if we're criticizing that, the National Guardsmen are going to get a little upset.
Well, I think, you know, in Tennessee, we've got a very big National Guard organization, and right there in Knoxville, one we're very proud of. And I think they should rightfully be upset that there's been question on whether or not they're the real service or anything like that. In peacetime, you know, they're the one organization we look to in times of national emergencies or disasters, and we're very proud of them at home.
In about 2 or 3 hours now, Dan Quayle will be officially nominated by the convention to the vice presidential post, or to the vice presidential nominee post. Tennessee was one of 5 states that signed the petition to put his name in a nomination. They're not going to pull that back, not going to do anything drastic like that.
No, by law, by rules of the convention, you have to have the majority of 5 states to place a name in nomination, and Tennessee was one of the states that signed the petition last night, and we are going to present it this evening.
Okay, so unless something very untoward happens, and we don't think it will, Dan Quayle will be nominated tonight, and we, of course, will be here. Now, let's talk about something else briefly. What if they gave a protest and nobody came? Well, that's been happening more often than not here in New Orleans this week. The Republicans, like the Democrats before them in Atlanta, set aside a whole park for a protest park. But the problem is that, as Gene Patterson reports, nobody's really listening.
That's it?
That's it. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was fun.
See you all later.
Right, you're tagging it.
Hmm?
You're tagging this, okay.
And Edie will be back with a wrap-up report on Action 10 News tonight at 11.
No, we're not. Always.
Switching over, we're very close to him. Would you please unhook him, unhook his mic and get out of here? You getting it?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fine. Yes. 5, 4, 3. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rich Bond, Deputy Campaign Manager for the Bush campaign. Very, very quick. Okay. Got some news, too, about the Missouri delegation. You can start with me, and then I'll introduce him later.
Start on.
Good, Bill Macon, the head of the Missouri delegation.
Pull to a 2. Pull to a 2.
Again, that's just in. Bill Macon, the head of the Missouri delegation, the man who has admitted being the shadow, and got one vote on this convention floor last night. Bill Macon is into the formal apology. Bill Macon has issued a formal apology to the Missouri delegation, and to the British camps.
No one to call you.
And to the British camps. Yes, we're here with the Deputy Campaign Manager, Rich Bond, but this news just in, Dick. Bill Macon, the head of the Missouri delegation and the man who has admitted being the shadow, the man who got one vote on this convention floor last night, Bill Macon has issued a formal apology to the Missouri delegation and to Roberta Capps, the woman who read the delegate count here. And we understand that Bill was in danger of possibly losing his job. He says now he will weather the storm. We'll have more on that at 6. With us now is Rich Bond, Deputy Campaign Manager of the Bush campaign, and of course, all of this news overshadowed by the controversy over Dan Quayle. Some people calling for Quayle to be dumped from the ticket. Will you dump him?
Absolutely no chance. It's never been discussed by the staff. It's never been discussed by Vice President Bush. Dan Quayle's our man.
No second thoughts?
Absolutely not.
Okay. We'll have more on the Dan Quayle controversy, hopefully with Mr. Bond. Reporting live from the Republican National Convention in New Orleans, Hewell Perkins, Channel 5, Eyewitness News.
Perfect.
Sorry to be so short.
That's all right. Nice to meet you. I got my lick in.
Okay.
So short. They have a small window.
Yeah. Too short.
That couldn't have been more than a minute.
Not even a minute.
What? Test 1, 2, 3, 4.
They want me over on this side.
I love the people. I love the back. Yeah.
Live shots are on.
And in the back we.
That we came, we saw, we uplinked.
Fitness?
I got it.
Okay, or what?
You can hear okay?
Are you over here? You want it higher? Lower? Okay.
He was too enthusiastic in sports.
Oh, yeah. Frank, I'll have to tell him that.
He was pumped.
Good old Macon, Georgia. By the way, if if the anchors ask you any questions, the guy's name is Chuck, the woman's name is Tina.
All right, Chuck and Tina.
Chuck and Tina.
Oh, that's if you go on the road.
Oh, yeah.
Do a show.
I have to tell them that.
Song and dance.
Do they need a mic check? Hello.
Come on.
Any idea how long they're going to give us for this?
Oh, you gave me a couple of shots today. Payback.
Hello, Macon. Any idea of how long
Yeah, you can go long.
they're going to ask Congressman some questions? Okay. Yeah, and that's the first. They told us we can go. We have time. That's rare.
Verges on bizarre.
Yeah.
I know. I couldn't believe Larry Perret's been going around all day with sunglasses on going, no interviews, no interviews, no interviews. Unbelievable. You know his facts that practically every station in America, I couldn't believe it.
Well, you'll find out what's going on in the Ag District.
Look it up a little bit now. They changed some. Can you turn it up just a little bit? The guy quit yelling.
Yeah.
Frank, get us.
Have they told you yet?
No. They're doing weather. I'm finding out the weather in Macon right now.
Yeah.
Larry.
1 minute 45 seconds total time.
Ah, I knew that would change.
Okay, let's hold up 1 second first.
That's still a lot. Yeah, that's pretty good. Be sure to let them know to jump in and ask him a question because he does have on an IFB.
Okay, yeah, the talent has on both have on IFB, so if you want to ask either one of the questions,
I've always wanted to be talented.
So have I. It doesn't take any talent to do this.
You just have the talent vote. Right. I've always wanted to be talented. I need more noise. A little louder. They changed tones.
You might want to just push it in just a little bit.
That's fine. That's about right.
don't creep over too far that we have a guest. Stand by. We're hot.
Well, I don't know, Chuck. I think that the person who might better be able to answer that question is our guest this evening is Congressman Newt Gingrich. You heard the question? Why don't you?
Sure. That's a good question, Chuck, and I'd just say that any brand new player on the national scene has got some surprises. If you'd pick Bob Dole, Jack Kemp, they've been out there a long time, but anybody he picks who's brand new, given the intensity of 17,000 reporters, you're going to get 2 or 3 big surprises. He's a baby boomer. Al Gore found out last year on the marijuana use issue. Baby boomers have some surprises. I think we're going to have to live through this, watch Quayle, see how he reacts. But I suspect that on balance, anybody would have had a couple warts. And in this city, this week, warts get blown up into mountains because of the intensity of the press coverage.
Do you consider him a draft dodger?
No, I think it's an insult to all of the Georgians I've seen go into the field with the Georgia National Guard, who are prepared to serve their country, who practice every week, literally out there in the field. I've been in the desert with them in California. These are serious people on the weekend. They truly are weekend warriors, and I think that it's an insult to the Indiana Guard, which, by the way, actually sent units to Vietnam out of the Guard.
It must be bad that it came on this day, the day that Vice President George Bush gives his acceptance speech.
Of course. I mean, it's the sort of thing that you wish, frankly, it would never come, but if it had to come, let's get it over with. I think Bush is going to give a good speech tonight, and it'll be exciting.
Okay. And that, of course, is the main topic of concern as well tonight. The Vice President, the presidential nominee for the Republicans, is scheduled to speak, if I'm not mistaken, at 9 o'clock Central Time. And, of course, we'll have more on that for you tonight. Chuck and Tina? Oh, thank you.
Okay, yeah, this is all ours. Thanks.
We are. I think we're doing Oh, yeah? Great. Yeah. Party with us tonight? Yeah. No problem. Got to at least pick out the glass of champagne, huh? Okay, talk to you later. Bye.
You heard it here first.
Garrett says it's the most important thing you've ever done in your next raise is contingent fund. That's what she's about to do. Like Bush's next speech. That's right. That's right.
Where's my bouncer?
Hey, I'm in our workspace. I'm allowed to be here.
I own this workspace.
That's right.
Yes, I definitely do. Even King Kong could stand on this spot. That's great. Well, you're kind of red-eyed right now, Brian. Good question. Great dinner.
attempts last night to inject a little levity into what was a preordained coronation from the standpoint of a presidential candidate upset them. And if that is the case, I want to apologize. I certainly did not mean to upset anybody. That was not my intent. And I want to extend that specifically to Bobby Capps, as she's been catching any flack because she was nothing more than a willing tool in my hand. She had no role in the promulgation of the letter. Outside of St. Louis, their efforts probably are unknown. Today, I understand that the hot issue today is the presidential flight. You may come in later.
Testing 3, 2, 1. You got it now? Got audio now? No, it wasn't turned on. Nice Republican conservative suit there, Ron. Red tie. Yeah. Good. You must have gone to the Republican fashion show at the Fairmont last night.
That kind of a Republican that we haven't picked down.
Something wrong here? Can't hear? What?
Come on, Eddie. Oh, God. Come give them. What are you doing now? You still just, where are you practicing? Like here's the Democratic Party.
Mic check, mic check, mic check. Testing 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. Does that sound okay? Maybe, maybe not. Well, so far so good on the music. Mic check, mic check. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mic check, mic check, mic check. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Mic check, mic check. Hello there, Davenport, Iowa. Mic check, mic check. They don't really talk like that up there. It was just... Should I keep going? About a minute. Mic check, mic check. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Mic check, mic check. Is it okay? Should I try to hold it up higher or something? Or? Okay. Mic check, mic check, mic check. 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. They had thunderstorms in the Quad Cities today. I don't know, I'm still listening. They had high winds, trees down, power lines down. The awnings at the riverboat docks were ripped off from the wind. Three-quarter of an inch of rain at the most. Not a lot, but a little. Okay, good. Here we go. Thank you, Don. Sounds like you have some storms there. Well, it's stormy here at the Republican National Convention as well. Dan Quayle, the vice presidential candidate, admitted that he may have used his influence to join the Army National Guard to avoid combat in Vietnam. Well, that news has some Republicans here up in arms. And joining me now is Republican Congressman Jim Leach from Iowa. Congressman, even the Republican committeeman from Des Moines, Steve Roberts, says that if this is true, Quayle should step down. What do you think?
Oh, I think George Bush did a pretty careful assessment of the deal. I don't know much about his background other than when he came to Congress, and I served with him, came into Congress with him, and all I can say is he's a good guy. He brings good geographic balance to the ticket. He's a good age. He's got a lot of pizzazz. He's a good salesman. I think he'll help George Bush.
What about if there's too much negative overflow from this? Then would you recommend something?
You know, I have a hard time being real tough on friends, and Dan's a friend. Now, having said that, these are the decisions that only vice presidents or the presidential candidate can make. And I think they'll look at this issue, they'll appraise it. You know, when you name an unknown candidate, all the dirty linen comes out, and then you have to appraise it. I think it's a little premature to know all the facts, and people ought to withhold judgment until they see the full story.
Okay, well, hopefully we will be hearing more on that story as well. Thank you, Congressman, for joining us. Well, tonight at 10, the big event, still as planned, is George Bush will accept his nomination, and Illinois Governor Thompson will be presenting the nominee. He tells me that he's thrilled about that. We'll have some reaction from the floor also at 10. We're clear? You're well rehearsed now to run.
Oh, yeah.
Let's start with a two-shot, okay? Yes, I can. 5, 4, 3, 2, and yes, I can. Yes, I can. Yeah, I can.
You're good.
The question of character and preference is the James Quayle family as well, but okay, thank you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I don't know. I believe that.
I couldn't hear you.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna fit right. I hear you, Jim. That's right, Liz. Really, it's a question of character and perhaps preference. Did Dan Quayle's family use its wealth and influence when he was 22 years old in 1969 to get him immediately into the Indiana Guard, National Guard, rather than serving in Vietnam? And Congressman Jim Leach, let me ask you, is that a valid point to bring up at this convention at this time?
Well, I think when you name a new nominee that's unknown, you always bring in whatever it is in their background that's imperfect. I don't know anything about Dan's past. I do know when he came to Congress with me, he was obviously a good guy. He brings good geographic balance to the ticket. He's an enthusiastic person. He's got pizzazz. I think he'll be a good salesman for George Bush.
At one point, there was a rumor, in fact, that he may be dropped from the ticket. Have you heard anything of that kind? Is that premature to even be talking about that?
Well, you know, I think these rumors are what make conventions go, and I would be very doubtful if there was any serious thought to that, but who knows? my guess is things are going to hold firm, and by the time this is over, people are going to find that Dan Quayle has helped George Bush quite a lot.
Talking within the Iowa delegation today, there didn't seem to be much dissension at this point. Is that what you're finding as well?
You know, there's pretty good unity among all the delegations. The Iowa group has this year been particularly cohesive. It's a good group, great balance of candidates of preference from Bob Dole to Pat Robertson to George Bush, but people have really gotten along well.
So you think that Bush will stay with Dan Quayle as far as you know at this point?
I'm confident the likelihood of a movement away from Quayle is minimal.
Okay, First District Congressman Jim Leach, thank you very much, Jim, for joining us tonight. You know, there's a sense here, too, that sometimes the love for politics runs in families naturally, and that's pretty evident within the Iowa delegation this week. So tonight I'd like you to meet a mother and daughter here in the delegation, Lois and Krista Taylor.
Good evening. This is Thursday, August the 17th, the Superdome, New Orleans, the 1988 Republican National Convention. And one more time, we have entertainment for you. The new Leviathan Oriental Foxtrot Orchestra. A ragtime Oriental Foxtrot, Washington, Walton. New Leviathan plays the music of the first 30 years of the 20th century. Delegates, engineers, visitors, and guests.
And I must tell you, Liz, Krista is having the time of her life, and both mother and daughter are looking forward to George Bush's speech here this evening. Well, that's right. Obviously, the nomination of Senator Dan Quayle will take place as well tonight, and it's kind of ironic because this was supposed to be the triumphant night for George Bush, but I don't think there's any doubt at this point that it will be somewhat clouded by this controversy which has been developing throughout the day about the military record of Senator Dan Quayle. Yeah, it's really funny because these, as Jim Leach was pointing to earlier, the rumor mill has been working overtime around here. And as I said, at one point there was a strong rumor that he was going to be dropped from the ticket immediately. Now everyone has backed away from that, and now there's a strong indication that George Bush will definitely stick with Dan Quayle, and that's the feeling within the Iowa delegation at this point. But we'll just have to wait and see because these stories are just developing, and this one is one that's really developed in this day. Right, and we'll be back tonight at 10 with Governor Terry Branstad for his reaction about what has happened at the convention today and this week. I couldn't hear her last question.
Mic test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3. No, I'm not hearing a thing. Now I am. Yeah, I'm hearing Neil. Yeah. We're in weather. I do now. Have it. Well, you might want to turn it up just a tad. Then go to 2. I'm going to keep you up with Okay, I'm going to keep it back close to here, and I'll turn and talk to you so we get a face shot instead of an ear shot, okay? start timing, okay?
Come in when I start talking or what? What told me this?
1 minute. Layton, right now, Quayle is still on the ticket, and I've talked with Bush's campaign staff members, and they say they have no intention of taking him off at this point. Of course, there are still some questions surrounding that. I have with me Ed Bethune, a former congressman from Arkansas and a personal friend of Dan Quayle. And Ed, I'd like to ask you, if there were some strings pulled in getting him into the National Guard so he could avoid the draft, do you think he should be taken off the ticket?
I don't think anyone in the hall knows the facts. I do know Dan Quayle personally. Senator Quayle's a good man. I think he'll stay on the ticket. We haven't had these draft questions in a long time now. It goes back some 15 years we had the draft. I remember when I was 18, I fooled them all. I avoided the draft by running down the street and joining the Marine Corps. And I wound up in Korea. Dan Quayle obviously chose to go in the National Guard. I don't know what's wrong about going in the National Guard. It's the backbone of our national defense. He probably is picking up every National Guardsman's vote in the entire country out of this whole episode.
What do you think George Bush should do? He has received some negative publicity on it today.
George Bush will do the right thing. You can bet on that. And I think that George Bush is exactly the perfect person to make the decision on this. He's a war hero himself. He knows all about it. Those of us who served in the military service are, based on what we've heard so far, not at all offended by Dan Quayle. Senator Quayle's a good man. I think he'll come through fine.
Very good. Thank you for being with us today. And of course, we will be hearing from Senator Quayle and George Bush tonight from the podium at the Republican National Convention. Tammi Arender, Region 10 News.
Make it as loud as you can. With the band, it's hard. What?
Hello there. All right, Chuck, thank you very much. We are live in the Superdome, and in about 1/2 hour from right now, it is the final session of this 1988 Republican National Convention. It has been a week of pleasure and politics for our Wisconsin delegation, and this convention has turned out to be a lot more exciting than anybody thought it would be. Now, the big question here tonight concerns Dan Quayle and his military record. Did he go to the National Guard in 1969 in order to avoid getting drafted into the Army so he possibly would be going to Vietnam? He wanted to stay out of Vietnam, so his critics say. And if he did that, did he get some help from friends in high places? That question is not going to go away, Chuck, and we'll be hearing more about that in the coming days. Chuck, I think most of these delegates will be going home tomorrow. Most of these people will be flying out of the New Orleans airport. However, I know for a fact where they will be tonight. It is a place called Bourbon Street, and we don't know what it's all about, but we'll go there and we'll check it out, and we'll have a story for you tonight instead.
Okay, thank you.
I still don't think it's on my ID. George Bush is saying this will be, important political people. Where? Why? He's 100 years old, and he took a very controversial running mate. In fact, there is rumors Jack Kemp staffers are spreading bad publicity about his vice presidential choice. We have... Yeah, I got it. How much you want that out of my, you're in my peripheral vision. I'm going to get you out, say they're just right now. that okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I got it. It's great. Are you my time? Okay. Alan Jean, George Bush is George Bush is saying this will be the most important political speech of his career. He's surrounded by a lot of controversy. Alan Jean, whoa. Testing 1, 2, 3. Alan Jean, George Bush is saying this will be the most important political speech in his life. And you can see why. He's behind in the polls. He's surrounded by controversy. No, it didn't, Alan Jean. In fact, I understand everybody here. In fact, as you saw on television, most of the people started leaving before the thing was even over. I think it was about 11:30 before the thing wrapped up. You know, George Bush is speaking tonight, and he is saying that it will be the most important political speech in his life. And you can understand why. He's behind in the polls. He's surrounded by controversy about his hand-picked vice presidential running mate. There are even rumors Jack Kemp staffers are spreading bad publicity about Danny Quayle. We have a reaction now from the Texas delegation.
Do I just speak in a fairly normal tone? I don't have to yell.
It's just going to be real like we're really talking, but just, yeah, talk kind of like I'm talking. I've got a deal in my ear, and this one's kind of hard.
Okay. Hello, say something.
Yeah, that's good. Got it. David Deese is saying it has nothing to do with it. No big deal. Alan Jean, Lisa DePerior, as I'm sure everybody will recognize, is with us tonight. She is one of 2 Beaumont delegates. She is here following everybody and staying kind of in the mainstream, knowing what's going on in the Texas delegation. Lisa, tell us what you've been hearing.
I think some of the delegates from Texas are concerned now. They were pretty much unprepared for this media barrage. It has made some of them nervous to the point they're saying, well, Dan Quayle hasn't been nominated yet. Couldn't we pick someone else?
Do you think all of this controversy has kind of sparked some fear, not only among the Texas delegation, but about everybody around the floor? And do you think it could cause problems?
I think people who are following it more closely are keeping in good touch with the Republican staffers and, of course, the George Bush campaign would say this is the time to be calm. These things happen, especially in a convention that has this much media attention. Dan Quayle has a lot of very, very fine qualities, and this small furor over the National Guard really in the long run will be unimportant.
Tell us how important George Bush's speech is tonight. You heard him speak earlier this afternoon.
Well, he and Dan Quayle spoke together for the first time this afternoon. I thought the Vice President made a fabulous speech. He talked about his speech for this evening. He said he felt he needed to be more personal in conveying his own ideas and also his family and his personal life to the public. He also said he's going to concentrate on drawing the distinctions between he and Mike Dukakis.
Do you see the father-son image between George and Dan? Do you see that kind of coming out?
Well, I don't really see the father-son. I mean, what I see more is in Republican politics in Texas in particular, age 25 to 40 is an important growth area for us. And putting Quayle on the ticket really recognizes that.
Okay, Lisa, thank you. Alan Jean, that's Lisa DePerior. I'm reporting live from New Orleans in the Superdome. That's a good question for Lisa. I'm going to give that one to you. What is the significance of Phil Gramm giving the nominating speech last night? That's a very important time on the podium and a lot of high visibility.
Texas is blessed with many outstanding politicians. I think in the future we may have some other Texans running for president. But what I also think was very significant was who introduced Phil Graham. And I don't know if that was shown on the networks, but Roger Staubach was giving a very important position in introducing Phil Graham. I think that's very interesting.
Okay, Lisa, we'll have everybody remember that. Alan G., back to you. Tell him thank you very much. Bye.
Beautiful. All right. Beautiful. You did click on that last one.
Nice cord. It feels like a snake going up my leg. It's like a snake. Yeah, you just be quiet back there. What you gotta do is get like a little thing to... What you gotta do is get a flag. Happy? Happy, man. Really happy. Is our mic hot when they go to my package? Is it still hot pretty much? Right. Yeah, they were going to do it.
What are you doing down there? Oh. I'm fine. You could say that again. It is a big night for Vice President George Bush and Indiana Senator Dan Quayle, and it is even a bigger night. As you know, there's been a lot of talk recently, questions, and we'll get into that a little bit more in detail. You'll hear a lot about that. Basically, the question is, were strings pulled for Dan Quayle? Did he have a way of getting into the Indiana National Guard as opposed to an active unit? That has become an issue. That was all during the Vietnam War 20 years ago. Tonight, the big story, of course, is the acceptance speeches by both Bush and Quayle. The question is whether or not Vice President Bush will be considered as President Bush, and he can perhaps prove that this evening. Yesterday, Bush, while addressing some California delegates, joked about his speech, his planned speech for this evening, indicating that it might be a little boring at times. We are now with Assemblyman Phil Wyman, who was an alternate delegate. We're first ask you, is there any word of removing Quayle from the ticket?
Oh, none at all. I think that Dan Quayle brings youth, but youth that's based upon experience, 12 years in the Congress, and the President, of course, brings maturity. I think that's a good combination.
What do you think we'll be hearing in these speeches this evening? Anything exciting?
I think so. I think that George Bush is going to open up. He's going to talk more about his family. He's going to talk about those things that give him the extra push that he needs when he's faced crises these many years.
Very quickly, what did you accomplish this week? Anything special for you?
Well, I was pleased that the platform included a provision on parental consent. That's an issue that brought me into conflict with the Speaker of the state legislature, lost the chairmanship over it. But our platform is saying that we think that parents should be involved in the decisions.
Very good. I'm going to have to cut you off here. Dan Rather will continue with live coverage at this point, and of course we'll be back at 11 with more coverage via satellite from New Orleans. Gotta go.
Chacho, si mide como 6 pies, como tú de grande. Es que ella es flaca. O sea que las cámaras aumentan, acuérdate. program. Bueno, amigos televidentes, nos encontramos en la noche de hoy para cerrar nuestra transmisión en vivo con el nuevo National Committeeman de Puerto Rico de esta Convención Nacional Republicana, y me refiero al representante de la Cámara, Edison Bisla Aldarondo. Muy buenas noches.
Buenas noches, Luz. Buenas noches a los amigos puertorriqueños.
Se ha hablado muchísimo durante esta semana de una división interna dentro de la propia delegación puertorriqueña. ¿A qué cree usted se debe esto?
No creo que haya lo que se ha dado con llamar división en la delegación puertorriqueña. Quizás haya habido unas diferencias de enfoque, pero en lo fundamental, en el esfuerzo, en la dirección que hemos querido tomar de contribuir efectivamente a que la plataforma del Partido Republicano adoptara una disposición mucho más agresiva que la que existía en elecciones anteriores, asumiendo un compromiso al partido de darle la estabilidad para Puerto Rico, de promoverla. Desde ese punto de vista, que es lo fundamental, lo que más importa, hemos estado actuando como un solo bloque.
¿Hasta qué punto es cierto que a usted se le ha querido dar de codo como National Committeeman?
Bueno, si se ha querido hacer eso, pues yo no lo he sentido. Vine aquí con un compromiso. Fui electo por una asamblea en Puerto Rico que me dio la encomienda de cumplir con una responsabilidad importantísima en los próximos 4 años. Y si alguien asume una actitud pequeña en torno a esa responsabilidad, yo lo ignoro. He querido ignorarlo. He estado trabajando intensamente durante toda la semana, reuniéndome con representantes de delegaciones de diferentes estados de la Unión. Para mí eso es lo fundamental y es ahí donde voy a mantener la mirilla puesta en todo momento.
Mañana usted juramenta como National Committeeman. ¿Cuáles son sus planes, en especial respecto con la delegación puertorriqueña y Puerto Rico?
Creo que en el pasado el movimiento estadista en Puerto Rico ha tenido una falla, y es que nos hemos dedicado a estar haciendo la estadidad allá. Y nos hemos olvidado que para hacerla allá y conseguirla acá hay que crear conciencia en Estados Unidos, en los centros de poder del Congreso, de la administración, del Partido Republicano. Y me propongo durante estos próximos 4 años elaborar intensamente, haciendo lo que he hecho en estos días, reuniéndome con figuras claves en las delegaciones, para que cuando llegue el momento de la gran decisión tengamos ese apoyo y no haya ningún problema para que el Congreso apoye la concesión de la estadidad para Puerto Rico.
Muchísimas gracias, Edison Bisla Aldarondo. Y amigos, con esto cerramos nuestra transmisión y nos volveremos a estar nuevamente con ustedes a partir de la próxima semana. Muy buenas noches.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Talk to me a little more so I can adjust my IFB. I can hear you. That's right. I can hear you fine now, Doug. Okay. I get the feeling we're being bagged. Well, I think it has a lot to do with what's been going on today. Yeah, the speech is they've delayed releasing drafts of his speech. Now, I don't know whether that portends anything drastic. I doubt it, but all set. Doug, quite frankly, the delegates don't know what to make of it. If anything, they're saying this should blow over, that it's not really a significant issue. The controversy seems to be that this night is supposed to be George Bush's night, and all this talk about Senator Quayle's military record, or lack thereof, is stealing from the vice president's spotlight. That's the big controversy. This was supposed to be his night and his night alone, and we've already had a major disruption. Bush campaign spokesman vehemently denied that the subject ever came up, that it was ever thought about. As far as they're concerned, Quayle is the ticket mate. He was at a function earlier today, a Republican National Committee fundraising function, where he appeared with the vice president. He told everybody he was looking forward to running. And as I said a moment ago, the Bush spokesmen are denying that the subject has ever been raised. Quite frankly, I think it's his own fault. I mean, he asked some questions were asked of him yesterday, and basically what he said, he answered the questions. So he may be a victim of his own forthrightness in answering the question. He is a victim of one thing in particular, and that's not being quite ready to handle all of the media scrutiny that an instant celebrity gets. 48 hours ago, he wasn't the candidate. Today, he is the candidate. Yesterday, he had his first real test of what it's like to be under this spotlight. And he didn't do very well. The media put some tough questions to him, and he was a little rocky. But you get the feeling today that the Bush people are sticking with their choice. They're going to weather this storm, and they're going to make him the running mate, and hopefully it's going to be better for him. He's going to handle it a little bit better. But I gather that what has happened over the last 24 hours is a little rocky start. That's supposed to settle out, Doug. You get that feeling. The Bush people are trying to avoid any talk of how this can affect in the long term. You don't hear any talk about long-term effect. You hear stealing the thunder. That's the major theme tonight. Stealing his thunder. It's expected to blow over in a couple of days, unless, of course, something else comes out. Absolutely. When the vice president speaks, people will hear his message. His whole theme has been, you will know who I am, what I stand for. The speech is a very lengthy speech. It's a very detailed speech. It attacks the opponent in terms of where they stand. It sets up where he stands, where he wants to take the country. Once he makes a speech, I'm sure this whole furor over the Quayle tempest will be forgotten. Thank you.
1, 2, 3, 4, that's about the level. Hi, Don. As you can see, Senator Dan Quayle is on the podium. I can't hear a damn thing. I feel like every... No, I mean, I can that, but I can't hear you guys. No, we can still open it.
None of their policies work. And the American people knew it. In 1980, they voted for a whole new course before the country. A course that brought us more jobs for working Americans, more security for people,
No.
more respect for friends and foes around the world, more opportunity for women and minorities, and a renewed belief that America is a land where you can make your dreams come true. Reagan, Bush's revolution, has already been written. Now, Bush and Will are going to add several whole new chapters to the story of the greatest nation God ever put on this earth. I think of America under the leadership of George Bush. These words come to my mind. Freedom. Freedom works. Nothing else is possible. My grandfather say to me, and I say to you here tonight, that America is the greatest nation on earth because America is free. This is true today, and it will always.
No. Yes, hi Don. I'm pretty good. It's going to be very noisy here, so can you speak fairly slowly? No, it's not too bad. Yeah, Dan Quayle is on the podium behind me at the moment, by the way. Yeah. I'll start with that. I'll say, as you know, I don't know if you can see him very clearly, but he's on the podium at the moment. He's just accepted the vice presidential nomination. But, you can't get away from the big cloud over the convention. Okay, Don. Good idea.
The party of George McGovern, Jimmy Carter,
Thank you, that's much better.
Over Mondale. Just wait, it gets better. Ted Kennedy. And now his buddy Michael Dukakis. That future has America in retreat. That future has
Are we still in an ad break? Are we still in an ad break?
job opportunities. And that future has more government intervention in the lives of all of us. The future under George Bush needs
They're playing the package, is that right? Are they playing the package at the moment? Oh, they're just playing it for fun. Yeah, because I didn't hear him intro it and I was wondering if I'd lost him.
And I can tell you, you have George Bush's track record to go on. The tax cuts the Republicans have brought America and have resulted in 17 million new jobs being created. Let me tell you something. George Bush will not raise your taxes, period.
No, it certainly wasn't, Don. Actually, when Dan Quayle took the podium about 10 minutes ago to accept the vice presidential nominee, he received a tremendous applause from the 40-odd thousand delegates in the Superdome, but you can't help but get away from the big cloud hanging over the convention. And I mean, it's supposed to be George Bush's night. It's Bush's night to show the American people that he is the one to lead their country. He's got to step out of the shadow of Reagan, and he's got to get away from the image of being a lapdog, a man with the soul of a number two. And instead of that, Don, he's been greeted with headlines like this. Was Quayle a draft dodger? Comments like, where was Quayle, and did his family use influence to keep him out of the Vietnam War so he could work as a weekend typist in the National Guard? The sort of things that Bush needs like a hole in the head. As a matter of fact, rumour mongers today were even suggesting that Quayle might be dropped from the ticket, but of course the Republican Party is denying that at the moment. Oh yes, when Quayle's name was first mentioned, Dukakis and indeed all of his camp were saying that Bush has made the first major mistake and questioning his leadership. I spoke to a lot of delegates today, Don, and I did get the feeling that many were putting on a very brave front. They say that Bush has made the decision And of course they're going to go along with it, but they certainly must be worried about some of the comments that are coming out in the newspapers and on the television, because he's the new boy on the block. They don't really know a lot about him, and he's untested in a national campaign. Yes, I'm sure a lot are worried, but they're pulling together, they're closing ranks. And of course, as an addition to the military service business, all of Quayle's files were seized today from the National Guard. They're being kept in secret till Quayle himself has a chance to go through them. Then the Pentagon officials will scrutinise them and some sort of damage control strategy will be worked out. Then we might know the results of that at a press conference. But I do know that Bush advisors have been meeting late into the night to work this out. They perceive it as a major problem. Yes, finally. There have been a few lulls here, I can tell you, but I'm sure they'll be rabid tonight. Thanks, Don.
Thank you. All right.
I'm privileged to be the first person in my generation to be on a national. I don't presume to talk for everyone of my generation, but I know that a great many will agree with me when I express my thanks. Bringing us to an era of peace, freedom, and opportunity. My generation has a profound debt. We will pay it. We will make sure that our children, generations to follow, have the same freedom, the same advantage out there. Right. Thank you very much. Good night. God bless you. Let's go on to victory.
I don't want any of that. ¿Cómo está?
I don't know if we're going to go on the air, but we have to be ready.
Sí. Oh, sí, tú me oyes. ¿Tú me oyes a mí? Aló, ¿tú me oyes? Sí. ¿Qué tú quieres que le diga, Vicentín? Vicentín, ¿tú me oyes? Sí, ahora. Este es el foco. Cuidado que si lo aprietas. Hold my ear. I'm going to hit you on the skin. Okay. ¿Ah? Estás a más de 3 días. Espérate ahí. Ahí otra está. Oye, yo no estoy oyendo nada de lo que están diciendo ustedes. Yo no estoy oyendo aire. ¿Ustedes me están oyendo a mí? Oye, ¿tú me oyes? ¿Y por qué yo no oigo aire? Ustedes pueden subir un poco el aire. Si alguien me oye, me pueden hablar despacito por el earpiece, por favor. Háblame otra vez. Ok, ahí está bueno. Ahora, ¿hay alguna forma de que ustedes, porque yo no estoy escuchando aire, tienen que ponerme aire y subirlo, porque yo no lo oigo? Sí.
Say cheese.
Oh. Hold the cheese. ¿Ah? No te comas las tuyas. ¿Estás nervioso? ¿Ah? Sí, claro. Oye, pregúntale que por qué yo no estoy oyendo la programación. Dile que me hable, dile que me hable. Sí. Ok. Thirty seconds.
Which decade of this century, nowadays, is Muy buenas noches. Estamos en la última noche de esta Convención Nacional Republicana en el Superdome, en la ciudad de Nueva Orleans. Y hoy ha sido un día pleno de emociones para todos los que asistimos a este evento político, uno de los mayores en las elecciones de este país. El día de hoy se supone que le pertenece a George Bush. Hace solamente unos minutos estuvo hablando en el podio del Superdome el senador por Indiana Dan Quayle, la persona quien ha sido nominada por el vicepresidente George Bush para compartir su boleta presidencial para el próximo noviembre. Pero en horas de esta tarde y originándose ya en las horas de la mañana de ayer surgió una controversia que podría empañar las esperanzas presidenciales de George Bush y consecuentemente de su compañero de boleta, el senador Dan Quayle. Dan Quayle, un senador de 41 años por el estado de Indiana, es abogado. Y en las últimas horas se cuestionaba su no participación en el conflicto de Vietnam. Se cuestionaba el por qué él había ingresado en el año 1969 en la Guardia Nacional del estado de Indiana, haciendo solamente 6 meses de entrenamiento continuo y después 6 años de entradas periódicas de entrenamiento en la Guardia Nacional sin participar en combate en el conflicto de Vietnam, cuando miles de jóvenes de Estados Unidos estaban siendo enviados allí a diario. Ahora bien, el senador Quayle ha dicho que no tenía nada de malo de que él hubiera ingresado en la Guardia Nacional, que él no había solicitado influencia alguna para entrar en la Guardia Nacional y evitar el ser enviado a Vietnam. Posteriormente, un comandante de la Guardia Nacional dijo que efectivamente él había hablado a favor de Dan Quayle para que éste ingresara en la Guardia Nacional. O sea, este es un conflicto de intereses quizás, es una controversia seria, pero de eso no se va a hablar esta noche porque el mismo senador Quayle habló hace solamente unos momentos y no mencionó absolutamente nada. Vamos a comentar todo esto con el señor Carlos Alman, quien es el presidente del Partido Republicano para el Condado Dade. Carlos, esto decididamente pone, digamos, una pequeña sombra en todo esto. ¿Cómo tú ves la reacción del vicepresidente George Bush esta noche? ¿Tú crees que él va a mencionar en algo esta controversia?
Yo no lo creo, Guillermo. Yo creo que el senador Quayle ya dijo que él había participado durante 6 años en la Guardia Nacional. Hay una cosa que es importante que se sepa, ¿no? La Guardia Nacional es parte de las fuerzas selectivas, de las Fuerzas Armadas Selectivas de Estados Unidos, y el hecho que el senador Dan Quayle no participó en ninguna otra, sino en la Guardia Nacional, fue que en el año 67 había la posibilidad de lo que se llamaba diferir el servir en la Guardia Selectiva, lo cual era totalmente correcto y era lo que le permitía la Constitución de Estados Unidos, y eso se lo daban a aquellos estudiantes universitarios que mantenían un % elevado en sus notas. Era una forma de darle un incentivo a los estudiantes norteamericanos que pudiesen sacar buenas notas y seguir estudiando. Yo no creo que el senador Quayle en ningún momento se le pueda haber acusado o se le pueda acusar de no haber participado en el sistema bélico de su país, ya que él ni se fue de Estados Unidos, ni fue de los que quemó tarjetas de servicio militar, ni muchísimo menos. Él sencillamente se acogió a un beneficio que le daba la ley norteamericana.
Ahora, déjame hacerte la siguiente pregunta. Tú sabes que el periodismo norteamericano, digamos, se basa en hacer este tipo de inquisiciones, si se quiere llamar así. ¿Tú crees que esto va a continuar o que directamente después, en los próximos días, el senador Quayle va a poder dar su explicación, se le va a aceptar su explicación y nada va a pasar?
Yo creo, Guillermo, que desafortunadamente esto va a continuar, en mi opinión, por lo menos un par de días, y después de un par de días pues desaparecerá. Pero en ese par de días siempre algún daño hace, como bien tú sabes, son cosas que quedan impresas en la mente de algunos de los votantes.
¿Tú crees que esto va a ser utilizado por la campaña de Michael Dukakis para, digamos, desvirtuar un poco la imagen del vicepresidente?
Estoy seguro que lo van a hacer, pero el pueblo norteamericano yo creo que es mucho más inteligente que eso y no dejarán que una vez más el gobernador Michael Dukakis distorsione los hechos como ha hecho hasta ahora.
Bueno, en breve, dime solamente qué es lo que tú crees que va a decir el vicepresidente George Bush. ¿Va a ser positivo?
El vicepresidente George Bush va a ser extremadamente positivo. Esta es su noche. Esta es la noche donde él tiene que probarle al pueblo norteamericano y tiene que probarle al mundo entero que él es un verdadero líder y que ya ha dejado de ser el vicepresidente de Estados Unidos en este momento para convertirse en el candidato a la presidencia de Estados Unidos de Norteamérica.
Bueno, pues muchísimas gracias, Carlos. Puedes volver al foro de la convención y nosotros vamos a interrumpir nuestra participación en este último día de la Convención Nacional Republicana aquí en Nueva Orleans. Así que nos despedimos de ustedes por ahora y pasamos al noticiero Univisión ya en progreso.